Mike Bohn here with former UFC champion Miesha Tate, who fights Lauren Murphy July 16th in Long Island. And Miesha, I guess I just have to ask, we're here the morning after UFC 276. You're obviously supposed to be fighting last night originally. What's the kind of the feeling from last night to today? Do you kind of have the FOMO that you didn't get to fight last night?
Yes, absolutely. I remember seeing the second card on the pay-per-view, thinking that was supposed to be my fight, although that was a hell of a fight, with Lawler and all that. So, I mean, it was, I'm glad that that night is past because now I can really just focus on it is the 16th. It's done. There's no more thinking about July 2nd. It's in the past. We just got to move on. And the target has been set for July 16th. It's going to be a new weight class, a new date, same opponent, same outcome.
Yeah, and obviously kind of a lot to get into on that front, but can you just walk us through the process and the change? Like, obviously, we heard about Lauren, I believe, getting COVID and the fight gets delayed. I know there was some talk of trying to maybe keep you on the card. Was anything close at all about getting a fight, or was that a pretty brief period where it was like, hey, we'll look around, and ultimately they ended up just changing the whole fight date?
It was over a couple days. We tried to find somebody to replace because I still really wanted to fight on July 2nd. So we tried everything, but to no avail. So when Lauren finally came back with just needing 2 more weeks, July 16th sounded reasonable. So I said, okay, let's do that. And hey, the silver lining is that New York is one of my favorite places to visit and eat. So I have a lot of my favorite restaurants out there and my favorite cupcakery in the whole world too, Molly's. So there's some good news. Like at least it's in New York. If it had to be moved anywhere else to any other date, that's not a bad choice.
Fair enough. And I guess the big question everyone wonders is, I guess, just about the weight cut, because I know you've been working hard to get down to this division and stuff. Like, what does that 2-week delay do? Was it hard to make that adjustment? Because I imagine you can obviously explain, but as you get into fight week, I'm sure that's when the thick of it comes. So how did you adjust there?
Well, it sucks. I'm not going to lie. My 4th of July is not going to be what it was. I feel like I should be celebrating today. I should be talking to you right now about the fact that, what beating Lauren Murphy, how it sets me up for a perfect title shot, but that will have to wait 2 weeks. And really all it does is just motivate me further. I can stay disciplined and I will stay disciplined. And when that day finally comes in 2 weeks from now, then I'll be able to celebrate that. And it's not the end of the world. At least we still have a fight on the horizon. Yeah, it's a little extra work. And some people might not understand, that 2 weeks, it feels like a really long time when you've already been at this for a while. I'd be like, oh, what if you were in quarantine for like 4 months? And then I was like, you've got all these plans for 4th of July and your friends and family, everybody's coming to see you. And then it's like, oh, but you got to be in quarantine for just 2 more weeks though, only 2 more weeks, to put it in perspective, for those of you who don't really know what a training camp is, it's similar to that kind of like grueling, like being in quarantine for an extended period of time, like kind of just sucks. You feel a little isolated from the world. It's like last night I had a bunch of my friends in town. They're like, do you want to come with us to eat something afterwards? I'm like, I still have to make 125 in 2 weeks, guys. Remember, like, the rest of the world continues on, but I have to stay diligent. And I did, I came home, actually left during the main event because I needed to get to sleep by a certain time. Like nothing is going to stop my momentum. As you know, my fight July 16th will be on ABC and it will take place at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is 11 a.m. my time. So it's more important than ever that I continue with my morning routines. I'm more of a morning person anyway, so this is actually really good news for me. But not even staying for the main event for 276 is going to get in my way of missing my sleep and my normal wake-up time.
And it's pretty clear you've been disciplined. I've seen, the photos you've posted on your social media. You look to be in tremendous shape and everything. Is this gone, minus this 2-week delay, like as good as it possibly could have in getting down and doing it? And has it been more of a gradual process, more so than, doing like a deep cut on the week of the fight or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Gradual processes. That's why it's been such a long camp, because it needed to be really small changes in small increments so my body didn't freak out and stress and want to hold on to weight. So it's been done perfectly. I couldn't be in better hands than with Coach Sam Calavitta with Training Lab. He has taken over everything, so I don't have to worry about making the weight. I just follow the program, and I know I'm in the best hands. So we are on point, and the work's already been done. You know, we're not trying to make up for lost time. We're not trying to outdo what we already did. It's just about maintaining it for another 2 weeks. I'm on point. I was ready to make weight, you know, for this weekend. So there's no problem. You know, I didn't need 2 more weeks. Sometimes people are like, oh, you know, but you get an extra 2 weeks to be more on point. I'm like, I don't need 2 more weeks. I am ready right now. I was ready yesterday. So ready to do this, but we will wait it out the 2 more weeks and we'll celebrate in New York.
How did you hook up with Sam? I know he only works with a very select group of people. You know, I know like TJ Dillashaw, Cub Swanson, some of those guys in California. How did you guys get connected?
So my sports doctor, Dr. Jonathan Edwards, worked with Coach Sam also. And then I've known TJ for a little while, so I'd heard about him, but you know, TJ and I are not like close or anything like that. Like we're cool, but he lives in California. I don't really see him or talk to him very much. But my doctor was the one who recommended, like, hey, you should check it out. And I ran into Sam for the first time and met him. Actually, I think I met him briefly when I was coaching on The Ultimate Fighter, or it was a guest coach on probably guest coach when TJ was coaching. I probably saw him briefly. Wasn't aware of it then, but some years later, right as I was looking to make my comeback, I ran into him at the doctor's office, and I talked to him, and he said, you know, you look great, this and that, and we had this nice conversation, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming back from having a baby. It's been, you know, almost 5 years off. And he's like, well, that's great. You know, I said, you know, I'm interested in working with you. Are you? And he was kind of like, he didn't cut me off, but he was like, all right, well, it's really nice to meet you. And he just like took off. And I was kind of like, does that mean he doesn't want to work with me, or what was it? You know, but what I realized about Coach Cal is that he's just a no nonsense kind of guy. He's like, he's not just going to jump at an opportunity, you know, like he's not going to jump to work with anybody unless they're serious. So I literally had to like hunt him down and like keep bothering him until he was like, take me serious, you know. But I was like, I've been down this road before, you know. I know sometimes you just got to show that you are serious about it. And now we've been working together ever since, and really never looked back. So it's awesome.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty unique dude, but everyone who I've heard who's ever worked with him always says like amazing
unique
things,
doesn't even begin to like cut. I mean, this man is the best in the world at what he does. So I know that there's no better person to be taking me through this journey of dropping down to flyweight for the first time. Like, we are so ready to do this, and he will be out in New York. So he'll be handling my cut hands-on, and we just continue on with the protocol.
Nice. That's awesome. And to go back to last night, I want to ask you about a couple things. 2 retirements we had. One, a former opponent of yours in Jessica I, and another, Donald Cerrone, who I know you share management with. I guess ask you first about Jessica. Were you surprised to see her retire? You know, she said afterwards that she thought maybe she was going to be cut from the UFC. So she had this kind of speech like, I was going to retire before they cut me, before they let me go. So that was one of her rationale for doing so.
Oh, yeah. Once she lost, I mean, I can't say that I had like so much forethought about it, but once I saw her lose, it didn't surprise me once she started to take the gloves off. I was kind of like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. You know, she's been doing this for a long time, and it doesn't seem like her passion is as bright as it once was. I've been in that position before. I mean, there's nothing wrong with realizing that you're in a different place in your life and you want something else. You want to do something else. I think as fighters, we're very passionate people, and you know, sometimes we just want to take our passions to another place. So she's had a great career. I would say hats off to her. It was great, you know, memory that we shared the octagon once before, and I'm excited to see whatever she does next.
And then how about Donald? I mean, obviously, you know, his legacy and everything he's done kind of speaks for itself. But I know, as I said, you guys share management, so maybe you have a bit more of a personal relationship with him than others. So what did you think about him kind of calling it a career? And, you know, what do you just make of what he's done in the sport?
Donald is a legend. No doubt about it. He will certainly be missed. He's always a great entertainer. He showed up for every single fight. Win, lose, draw, you knew that that was a fight that you could look forward to and that you would be entertained. So I think his legacy will forever be that. I am sad to see him go, but I do think that it's the right decision, especially saying, he just doesn't love it like he used to. I get it. I've been there before too, and you can't fabricate that. You can't make it up. You can't just make yourself love it. I mean, you could continue to fight for a paycheck, I guess, but if you're not truly passionate about it, I think that it's safer and better for your longevity to walk away. So I think he made the right decision, and he's done a lot. I mean, what more do we want from the guy? He's done a lot, and he's got a family. He's got another 2 kids and a baby on the way. So I know he's set, and he's going to move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I think his reasoning after was, extremely legit. He did his press conference, and I really appreciate his insight and his honesty. So, like, I think, good for him. You can't. It seemed like he was kind of faking it for a little while now. He said he's known he should retire since like before the Conor fight. So he dragged this out, a lot longer than I think maybe he wanted to.
Yeah. And sometimes you think you're going to get it back, or you have a glimpse of like that hope that maybe this fight will be different, or you have a moment where you feel energized by it. It's not like you totally just lose the love completely, but sometimes it's difficult to recognize that it's changing. And so you're kind of like in this denial period for a while. And then when you finally get to that point, you're kind of looking back and saying, see, that little intuition that I had, that was the point when I should have listened, but it just takes a while sometimes for it to sink in. But I think for him, he's at that point now where he knows it's the right time to walk away. And so right now is the right time, and that's perfect. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Great career. And obviously I have to ask you, when we had spoke, I believe it was in like December, you were kind of mulling the decision to go down, but I know you had, some other things going on, including the Celebrity Big Brother stint, which you obviously did amazing at.
Thank you.
What would be that like? I mean, how much did you enjoy that? Like I said, obviously you did great. So was it something that, exceeded your expectations? Like when you reflect on that now, how was that experience for you?
I didn't enjoy it very much. I will be honest. No, I enjoy a good challenge, and I am definitely a glutton for punishment, but that was extreme because it was an entire month of isolation. We didn't go outside at all for the entire month. I'm very like, my circadian rhythm is important to me. I go out every morning and I like get the sun exposure, and I go to sleep at the same time. As I mentioned, like I left during the UFC because I'm like, I gotta be to sleep. It's very important to me. And we were doing interviews like all interrupted sleep night of like all hours of the night, 2, 3, 4 in the morning under the bright halogen lights, so bad for you. And it was just so different than what I was used to, because I'm an athlete and my body is my business. I really do invest in those like small things, because those are the things that separate, I think, the good from the great, is those extra efforts. So me having disruption in everything that I do, not being able to plan my workouts accordingly, because not even knowing if we were going to have a challenge that day or when it was going to be. They always like to keep us in the dark, and being filmed 24/7 was not an ideal experience. Not being able to see my 2 small children was really tough. So I'm glad for the perspective. I only think that it was worth it because I won. If I even took second place, I'd be like, F that. Like, can't believe that I wasted my time doing this show. But no, I'm grateful for the experience. I wouldn't recommend it. And I don't think that I would do it again. I've heard from people in Hollywood and people who are kind of in this industry that is the most difficult show to do, because of the isolation and the prolonged period of time that you just don't have any access to the outside world. It's hard for anybody. And the social experiment didn't make me feel good to like make this team, and then once you win, then it's just down to your team. Then you have to start cannibalizing your own friends and the people on your team that have been riding for you and helping you, and like really makes you feel like a kind of a piece of shit, to be honest. So I didn't enjoy that either.
It seems like you were willing to do kind of whatever it took to win, though, right? Like, as you said, to make the most of the experience. Yeah. Obviously, you search up kind of, your name and some of the feedback throughout the show. And some people are like, I love Miesha, she's like doing whatever it takes. She's got the right approach. And then there's some other people that maybe weren't as complimentary. What did you make of just the reception that you got from various people from how you approached it?
Well, I didn't read into it a whole lot, to be honest. I didn't take a lot of that in, because it's a game. I mean, I tried to play pretty true to my character as far as like being honest with the players and everything like that. But that's not how the game is designed. The game is designed to have you lie and be deceitful and like try to trick people. I mean, it would be no different than if you were sitting down, with 11 other people that you haven't met, but you're playing a board game, where the objective is to like try to win and trick people or like get people to believe you. I mean, you're playing a game. It's a game, but people still think that this is like the true representation of exactly who you are in the real world. I'm like, this is not the real world. Like, we're in a hamster wheel right now, forced to like do all these weird things, way out of our element without any, of our normal comforts that just make you a little bit more crazy and have a little bit more angst. So it wasn't an accurate representation, other than I love to compete and I love to win. That's accurate. And that's what I did. So if people like that, then great. That's who I am. Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, I think people maybe don't realize that on a lot of these reality shows, like a Survivor or something like this, where you're like obviously very determined and there's a goal to win. You're not there, as you said, to just hang out.
No.
So nevertheless, I mean, you come back, you get this fight scheduled and everything. What do you think the stakes are here? Obviously, we had Valentina Shevchenko just a few weeks ago after she beat Taila Santos. She said your name, and she said she's looking close at the winner of this fight. Do you feel like one win here and maybe that opens up the title shot for you?
Well, yes. If not me, who else? If I go out and beat Lauren the way that I intend to, I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm not going to say it, but just watch on the 16th. And granted, I do what I feel like I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to win. She's going to be saying my name a lot more often, because if not me, who else? Like beating Lauren Murphy is a great feather in my cap. I'm former world champion, and I'm not here forever. Like, let's get this show on the road. Like, I want to fight the best. I want to fight Valentina. Lauren is a tough, gritty fighter. She's ranked inside the top 5, so it'd be a great win for me to put me right in that spot. And Valentina's done a beautiful job of clearing out everybody else. So the division is really wide open.
Did you think she won that fight against Taila in Singapore? It was obviously really close.
Watching it, I've only watched it one time, and I remember being so shocked by Talia that I think that I was watching Talia more. But I will be honest, I felt like Talia won. I thought she won 3 rounds to 2. So that was my impression. I could go back and watch it again. And sometimes you watch close fights like that, and you're paying attention to one fighter the first time you watch it, and then you go back and you really watch the other fighter, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I see where the case could be made that this person won. But my knee-jerk reaction was that I thought Talia won 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah, so did I. I was cage side for that, and it's obviously hard to see from press row sometimes too, because you're not watching the broadcast and goals and stuff.
And the strike count is so. Some people like to go back and like look at the strike count and be like, oh well, that's why. But you have to remember that a lot of Valentina's strikes were from having her back taken. Like she was just kind of throwing these little shots like this, and that counts in the strike count. But is she really winning during that time? It's not like those are great shots to land. Usually you only throw those shots when you can't get out from the position. You should be working to improve the position, but if you can't get out, I guess it's kind of a last resort. You might as well do something.
Yeah, I mean, if not for that clash of heads, that's going to be one of the big what ifs. If that didn't happen, how would the fight have gone?
Yeah, because I think the judges scored that as damage that, shouldn't have really been scored. It shouldn't have been acknowledged, I should say. But when the judges are not aware of that, or just even probably human nature, right? You see the damage and you're like, oh, got to score the other person's winning. But how did it happen? I think that the judges should be made aware of that when it is a foul, and not to acknowledge that damage.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But, just the way it went down, whether Taila won or not, the successes that she did have, given your style, I'm sure that gives you a level of confidence when you look at Valentina now, right?
I had that confidence before.
Yeah.
I mean, it really doesn't change anything for me, except now the rest of the world can see what I was thinking the whole time, which is kind of annoying, to be honest, because I really want to be the first one to do it, so I'm not thrilled. But, Yeah, it doesn't change anything. I still feel exactly the same as I felt about Valentina. I'm just like, yeah, I knew that. I already knew it. I knew it watching Julie fight her. You know, I know that Julie got caught in a submission, and you can't underestimate Valentina's grappling game. She definitely has one. She's got some slick submissions, and she's no slouch on the ground. But I said, it's going to take somebody who can wrestle a little bit, because we've already seen what happens when people try to strike. But I think people were quick to forget that Jennifer Maia held her down for a round. And I was like, oh, noted. I remember thinking that back then. And then, Julie had some success taking her down. It's like, it's not impossible, especially for my style. I have the style to do it. So yeah, we're going to work on this fight with Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy and I have a more similar style. I just think that I'm better than her in every area, but her strengths, I think, are similar to what I would say my strengths are. So we're going to get through her, and then continue to really break down this idea of fighting Valentina, and continue to explore the options of exactly how to beat her.
Yeah, and obviously want to give Lauren her respect and talk about her a little bit. She's obviously insanely tough in there, and hard to put away and things like that. What do you kind of see as her biggest strengths? And for you, how do you think you're going to be a different fighter at this division? Like, do you feel stronger, faster? How would you kind of compare what you think the product of Miesha Tate's going to be in this fight compared to what we saw at 135?
I think Lauren Murphy is a grinding style fighter. I think she has a pace that never really slows down. And she's very durable. That's another thing. Like, as you mentioned, she's hard to put away. Like, she will take one to give one. She's tenacious. But for me, I think it's just about me going out there and doing what I do best. You asked about dropping the division. I think pound for pound, you're going to see how much my strength and physical advantages will translate better at 125, because they certainly have in my training. I don't feel like I've lost my strength. The feedback from my training partners is that I haven't lost my strength, because so much of what I do is about staying positionally sound. So when you're in a good position, it's not if you weigh 5 or 10 pounds more or less. It's, are you able to manage that position? And now I feel like I'm a lot faster, and I have a lot better cardio, because I didn't need that extra size. I really didn't need it. And I was just kind of carrying it around for no reason in these fights. And I don't think that it was helping me. I don't think the key to my success was needing to be stronger. But these women that are 10 pounds smaller too, pound for pound, my strength is translating so much better, so much more efficiently. So I've really been enjoying going with the 125-pound women in my gym, and I've been finding a lot of success, and I feel really, really confident. One of the best camps I've ever had. One of the most challenging, because dropping to 125, obviously, it's that continual grind. I've had to really focus on my diet, but I feel so good about everything that I've been able to do and accomplish that I'm so ready to cross that finish line. I am so ready for July 16th and Lauren Murphy, and I think it'll be the performance of my career.
Awesome. And before I let you go, I have to ask, the next pay-per-view, July 30th, we're going to see Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes run it back. Have you been, I guess, watching them on The Ultimate Fighter at all? If so, any thoughts on that? And what do you just think of this fight? I assume you're obviously backing Juliana, but do you think she makes it look similar to the first fight, more dominant, is going to be more competitive? What are you kind of expecting out of this rematch?
I think that before the last fight, Juliana knew she could win, and those around her knew she could win. And I think the only difference is this fight is that now Amanda knows that Julie can win, and the rest of the world knows that Julie can win. Otherwise, nothing changes. I'm sure Amanda's going to try to prepare differently. I would assume she's going to prepare, to be better. But sometimes that poison of the mind, just knowing that someone like Julie is going to be standing across the octagon from you, is just not easy to deal with. There's a lot of pressure right now on Amanda, and I don't think there's any on Julie. So she's it'll be fun to watch this fight, and I know that she can get it done again.
Yeah, and where would you expect Amanda to go, like, after if she loses this fight again? I think that puts her in a pretty difficult spot. Obviously, she's still got the belt at 145, but like, who does she even fight up there at this point?
I don't know. That's the UFC's
Yeah.
thing. They've got to make that happen. Isn't Norma Dumont? Is she up at 145 or is she down at 135 now?
I think she's been bouncing back and forth, but did
Yeah.
she not just lose her last fight? I feel like maybe I can't
Yeah,
remember.
gosh, I know. So that's the thing too. And then like some of the women are like kind of bouncing around or just taking their fights at um 145. I know that Macy Chesson has obviously primarily fought, but she does go up. But Amanda's the same, she's at 35, 45 or so. Maybe some of these women who are kind of a little bigger for the weight class just say, hey, you know what? I'm maybe getting a title shot faster at 145 and hop up there. I don't know. The UFC's got to figure that one out. But Amanda's still the champ at 145, so I say she go up there and try to continue to fill out that division.
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, you're focusing on your own fight and your own career first. So a couple of weeks away now. I hope the rest of camp and everything goes really well. And appreciate you keeping it professional in this delay and everything. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll be talking to you guys after a solid win.